Hey, Legal Rebels, this is Tom Martin. I'm the founder of LawDroid, and this is my podcast, LawDroid Manifesto, where I interview legal innovators about how they do what they do.
In this episode, I interview Laura Bingenheimer and Avinash Nair, co-founders of MagNet Agents, whose combined expertise in legal tech sales and AI development has created an innovative solution that helps lawyers transform client acquisition from guesswork into a systematic, personalized process. Welcome to the LawDroid Manifesto podcast. I'm Tom Martin, your host. I'm really excited today to have two startup founders on that I'm really impressed with their work and want to share it with you. Laura Bingenheimer and Avinash Nair. And we're going to talk a little bit about what they're working on, but also get into, as you know, I like to do origin stories a little bit. It's very nice to see you, Laura and Avinash.
Good to see you too.
Yeah, welcome to the show. I originally met Laura at the Legal Hackers meeting, and you were attending representing which chapter?
Munich.
Munich.
Mm-hmm.
Those meetings are always great for everyone out there. Like, Legal Hackers, this is an organization where people that love tech and law get together and get to talk about ways of improving legal processes and services and access to justice for everyone using technology, and it's a lot of fun, and we get to nerd out together. First off, I just want to talk a little bit about what you're doing now, and then we can go backwards into origin stories. So you have launched a company called MagNet Agents, right?
Correct.
What, a month or two ago, or a couple months ago?
So in July, we went to market.
And what an amazing time to be launching an AI company, because there's just so much interest. And finally, not only from like a VC funding side is there interest, but there's also finally interest from lawyers to actually implement this kind of stuff. How have you been feeling that? Do you feel that lawyers are more open to it?
Definitely. So having worked in legal tech for about 7 years, I definitely see a change towards more interest in especially AI, of course. And we also see this with MagNet now, that lawyers are, open to learn more about it and to actually try it out.
I started out with what I'm doing about 9 years ago, and also been involved as a lawyer, going back and forth between law and tech for many more years than that. And lawyers have been pretty much a very, how to say it diplomatically. I mean, difficult in terms of getting them on board, convincing them that, there might be something positive in using technology. People of my generation, Generation X, remember back in the day when even using like email or web browsing was like controversial. So it's a great change to see that people are more open to it. Just as kind of like a highlight right now, MagNet Agents, what do they do?
Yeah, so basically it's a web app. Lawyers can sign up on our website and simply put in some information about themselves, practice area, preferred client type, and preferred outreach method. And then they basically can just get started with their client acquisition. So it's an AI client acquisition tool for lawyers. Yeah, I can go more in depth if you want.
That's good for now. So it's business development, right? For them to get more business.
Correct.
And Avinash, what's your role?
I'm the CTO. I'm the developer of the application. So all the product development is what I've been doing.
Now with, the ability of AI to not only like give us additional features and powers that we can harness, it's also possible to use it in terms of coding. Like, have you used that at all? Do you find of any assistance?
Oh yeah, definitely. I use a number of copilots for my coding workflow. That's probably what made it possible for me to build this as sort of like a solo development team. Yeah, it's been very helpful. Obviously, like you can't just let AI write all of your code because there's bound to be some hallucinations and security issues, but it definitely helps with a lot of low-level tasks for sure.
I think that's one of the things that's fantastic about this moment in time is that, people with smaller teams can actually go a lot farther than they ever were able to before. So yeah, I mean, looking through what you have available and seeing the features and benefits and some of that stuff, is really fantastic, because in the past it used to be that you had to, get a seed round first and all of that, and now you can get validation much more quickly. How have things been received so far? How are customers going?
It's gone really well so far. So having launched in July, we have mainly partners from all firm sizes, which is very interesting. And we also have two BD professionals from large firms. But we also have a senior associate, who from a large firm who wants to like build out a certain practice group in the firm. So it's very interesting, the range of people who are using it. And this really shows that this can be beneficial across all different practice areas for all different seniorities, across all different firm sizes, for corporate practices mainly, though.
Well, that's great. I mean, it sounds really promising. Many times I've found that some of the partners or senior associates that are using it as customers, they're also kind of checking it out for their firm, writ large. So that's really fantastic.
Definitely.
I'd like to get into a little bit of your background now, though. Laura, let's start with you. I know that you're originally from Munich, right?
I was born near Frankfurt, but I lived in Munich since I was 6.
I remember when we talked over at Legal Hackers, like I think you were working at Brighter at the time.
I think I was working with Joseph at the time,
Joseph. Yeah.
but I used to work at Brighter as well.
Which is something that I thought was amazing, because kind of like LawDroid is a no-code building platform.
Yeah, I remember we talked about it.
Yeah.
It was an interesting conversation about workflows.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you worked boots on the ground with two, major companies now that were doing like no-code building and getting to learn more about, customers and their needs, I imagine that was really helpful.
Yes, definitely. So working in sales in both companies really helped me understand the market better. It helped me to know how to approach leaders of law firms for sure, and leaders of legal departments. So it's definitely helpful from both sides, because I understand the clients of the law firms and also the leaders of the law firms themselves. And I learned a lot about where technology is at in the market.
For everyone out there, I mean, Brighter originally was based in Germany. I think it still is, but it has more of a international reach now. So I would think that naturally, that came up as a connection because of you being based originally in Germany, right?
Yeah. So I saw Brighter was very well known at the time when I went a little bit more into legal tech, which was around 2018. So I wrote a seminar work about analogies between software code and legal norms in 2016, and then kind of held it in my hand in 2018. And I was like, I think this is going to be probably my career, because I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I had a startup when I started law school as well in a different field, but I knew I wanted to be a founder, an entrepreneur, and legal tech made it possible to kind of productize legal services in a way. So I found that very interesting and connected with the professor who was at the Technical University in Munich, because it was an interdisciplinary seminar. He connected me kindly to a law firm that was working at the time on graph databases, putting legal norms into graph databases, and found that very interesting. And then Brighter was very present at the time too. And so I got in touch with Michael Group at the time, I think 2019. We hopped on a call and then eventually did an internship, and then afterwards joined their sales team.
Well, what was your undergrad degree in?
Law.
Yeah, I remember that. I was just struck by the fact that around I think it was 2018, 2019, that graph work you were doing, it was like really ahead of the curve.
It was, at the time it was, yeah. It was really interesting. It was interesting to see the limitations as well, to kind of understand, okay, because back there we have civil law, right? And then we try to like put legal norms into code. It was super interesting. And at the time, obviously, AI wasn't that big yet. It was very static, right? It was a decision tree in the end of the day. At least at Brighter for sure, but also the graph databases, we kind of like tried to solve it a little bit more agile. But in the end of the day, it was still quite static. as soon as you came to a point where you had to actually evaluate the individual case, that's where it became a little bit more complicated.
Just for the benefit of everyone watching, what is a graph database and what is it like? What function does it perform?
So basically, you can imagine it different knots that are connected in a way, right? And so if a certain knot is caused as yes or no, it would lead to another one. And then eventually there will be a result.
So it's a way of taking like unstructured data and then connecting the dots, so to speak.
I would say even structured data in that case, because I feel like civil law is very structured in a way because it has clear requirements that have to be met. And then if those are met, you get to the next step and you get to a next scenario and a next one. And then it has like certain results.
That's an interesting difference too between like the European legal tradition and the one in the States and Britain is that, and I guess in the English system, there's more of case law and then there's holdings and each one kind of builds on the other. And there's all these crazy unstructured legal relationships between each.
Mm-hmm.
You, after that, you pursued a master's degree, right?
Yeah, well, I worked at first. So I worked at Brighter in sales, then at Joseph in sales, and then eventually at a law firm called Nair. And I was basically doing an innovation role there in the legal tech team. Mainly, the idea was to be able to sell the legal tech that has been built in the firm, which was an interesting development or role because I saw this trend that so many law firms were building legal tech tools, but not really selling them in a way. So I was really excited about that role. I was selling legal tech basically internally and externally, or was thinking about how can we sell it better externally? How can we acquire clients by being attractive with, a tech offering externally? But also, how can we involve all the partners, all the practice groups, that they A, understand all the legal tech we have, but B, also come up with new ideas. And maybe there's an overlap of tech needs for specific practice groups. And I learned pretty quickly that the practice groups have very, very different needs, which was very interesting. So I was just trying to map it together and see where there might be an overlap. But as part of that, I was doing over 30 interviews with senior lawyers who were about to become partner. And out of curiosity, I also asked them, how do you go about client acquisition? Is this important for you already? And all of them said yes, it's very important, but they didn't really have a structured, tailored approach to it, which was mind-blowing to me coming out of sales, knowing there is actually an approach that could work. So I thought, well, maybe that's the problem I've been searching for.
Yeah. And absolutely beneficial to have that early, like one-to-one rapport with the actual customer,
Yes, definitely. Definitely. And also to hear from them, oh, it would be helpful to have something at hand that would help me with this. That was definitely helpful.
So Avinash, I want to get a little bit into your background. I saw that you got a degree in computer science in Texas, right?
Yep, I did. Initially going into computer science, I was learning about AI in my senior year of high school, and I thought it was super interesting. And I always wanted to build tools, applications that solve real world problems. So that's what initially led me into computer science. And after undergrad, I went straight to Cornell Tech, mainly for their entrepreneurship program. And in the studio course, I met Laura, and that's where I first learned about the client acquisition challenges that lawyers face. I thought it was like the perfect opportunity to sort of leverage, AI and my application building background to build something to tackle that problem.
Cornell is that common denominator, right?
Yes. Yep.
Is there something in the air there? Like it seems like a pretty good environment to have this kind of collaboration. Like how did that come about?
Yeah, so Cornell Tech has a studio program. So For the professional degrees, I did the Master's of Engineering in Computer Science there. And in the first semester, you learn all about Product Studio, which is about building a product with an industry partner. And in the second semester, you get to choose a different studio track. I chose Startup Studio, which is what Laura also chose. And in Startup Studio, they pretty much help you validate a problem and sort of build a solution and a startup idea. You sort of bring it from 0 to 1 in that course. So it was super cool. It's almost like an incubator in school.
Yeah, I was just about to say that sounds like an incubator to me, but really helpful too, especially to be in the environment of a university and get the input that you can from various different experts from different directions too. You mentioned like working with an industry partner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's separate. It was in the first semester. In the product studio course, which is the first semester, you partner with any industry partner. For me, it was the New York City Department of Environmental Protection. For other people, it was I think like law firms, like consulting firms, and you really like work closely with an issue that they have, and you learn more about their problem, you gather requirements, and you learn how to build effective solutions. And that sort of feeds into the next semester where you apply what you learned to either continue pursuing that solution or build your own product.
Was there anything from your experience with the New York Department of Environmental Protection that stands out to you that you remember as a lesson learned?
Probably not one to one, but we ended up building an AI solution for them actually. And we were initially met with some hesitancy. So the problem with them was they needed to find a way to repair pipes in low visibility conditions. So we built like an AI powered digital twin of the pipe system. Without going too much into the technical side of that, it was kind of complex and hard to explain, I guess, like for them to understand. So I guess it helped in the sense that when I'm building like a tech heavy tool, finding a way to describe how it actually solves the problem instead of just like saying that I'm using a bunch of fancy tools is it's better to understand for the lawyers or non-technical folk how the tool is actually bringing them value and solving a problem for them.
Very interesting. And I love the digital twin concept, which is being widely used now in different systems, complex ones, ways of modeling behavior, flaws, failures to avoid them. It'd be interesting to see how that might map over to legal and predicting legal problems. So now let's jump into MagNet. I love the name. It's like a lead magnet. It brings in business. If you can tell me more about what your hopes are for what the company can accomplish, how you're starting out, and what that experience has been like.
We hope that this will be a tool that lawyers are just by default using to enhance their careers. We hope we can close a gap between, for larger firms, what BD and marketing is preparing, but also what the individual lawyers then have to do by themselves because they are the expert in their field. So they are, in the end of the day, and I strongly believe this will also be in the future, the people who actually need to build the client relationships. I was thinking about this in a way that, might law firms have a business development team or sales team even in the future? But I think this can only work if there's actually lawyers, right, who understand the legal nuances in depth to communicate to the client and also build the client relationship in the end of the day, right? Because it's such a relationship-driven industry to build trust and etc. So we hope to close that gap with this technology, which is basically an end-to-end client acquisition tool, but also is meant to collaborate with what the BD team is preparing and what the marketing team is doing. So it's not meant to replace that at all. It's just there to basically be an add-on to that.
So just to specify it a little more, I take it from what you said earlier that this is like the target demographic, target customer, ideal customer would be larger law firms. Does that include like medium law firms? Like what is the size of firm that you're thinking of?
So I think the ideal customer is definitely senior lawyers and junior partners because they feel this urge the most. We do also speak a lot with small and mid-sized firms because they don't have a business development team, and for them it's also very important. So I think, and we also actually have solo practitioners as customers too. So I believe it's more the persona partners that is the ideal customer, but we're also working together with BD professionals to actually build out the function to collaborate with partners. So that's been super interesting because obviously they do have all this knowledge. It's just about making it actionable for the partners to actually, build those client relationships. And so the collaboration is very enriching too. So I think partners, senior lawyers in general, and then also BD professionals.
That's really interesting. Like the type of persona versus, some like cut and dry formula based upon the size of the firm. And that's great that it can adapt to different types of sizes of firms. Avinash, for you, I was wondering, like, from your approach to it, doing the development side of it, does having a user persona in mind, is that helpful? And if so, like, how do you use that to kind of put together the vision of it from a software standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, I think the user persona is definitely helpful. So far, the customer insight has sort of guided all of the feature development. Our prioritization of our backlog is heavily influenced by the input that we receive from our customers. So I'm always thinking about how our different customers want to use our tool and how I can optimize it for them. So, for example, some of the different parts of our platform are important to different users. So there was a senior partner that was interested in going more in depth and like enriching certain leads. And that was a feature that I worked on. And we used his specific input to develop that feature. So it's been really cool to like, get input from all these different types of personas and, build it into the platform to make it useful for everyone.
There's on the one hand, what customers want. The lawyers, they want it to be perfectly tailored to exactly their situation. On the other hand, for people that are building these tools, like yourselves, it makes sense to accommodate a good portion of that, but not all of it. Because if you accommodate all of it, then you're building a custom tool that only works for one particular customer and not all of the customers that you need it to work for. So the question is, where do you draw the line? Like, how do you balance those competing interests of like wanting a scalable, solution on the one hand, and then pleasing customers on the other?
Abby, if you want, you can answer.
So for all of our customers, any feedback that we receive, we just add it to the backlog no matter what. From there, we sort of analyze, what are the most, common requests and how much impact building the solution to that request would have on our platform. So I guess it's like those two main features. Like if there's multiple people asking for something and if it has the potential to have a major impact on maybe usage of the platform and customer success, then those features get prioritized in development. So I think right now we have over like 35 features in the backlog, but 3 to 5 of those are the most pressing. And that's sort of how I tailor my sprints. Like my every 2 weeks, these are the features I want to push out to make sure that it covers the most customers and provides the most value.
Laura, would you like to add to that or?
No, I was also going to mention the backlog. So when I speak to customers and when Avi is not there for some reason in the call, I would also just like add them and say how relevant I would find them. And then we evaluate them together. But he basically covered it, everything.
Yeah, and it sounds like a really great approach. Popularity of the request or requests and the impact. Definitely a great way to triage it. So the ones that are just, really, really specific and nitpicky maybe don't satisfy those two requirements. So
Agents. Agents has been the big deal this year. Actually, towards the end of last year, the concept came out and people were playing around with, I think it was baby GPT, and like there are like a few different things, auto GPT, where people were playing around with the concept, and it became much more popular this year, obviously. And there's been a lot of what some people would say hype about it. I'd like to get your view. Like, what are agents? Is it hype?
I think it's hype in a way, because there are a lot of solutions out there that claim to be agents and are not. And that I found very interesting. There are solutions that 3 years ago said they're solution X, and now they're all of a sudden AI and agents. But I'll let Avi answer the rest of the question because he actually knows what agents are in depth. He probably has an interesting take too.
Yeah, what are
I
agents?
mean, there are a lot of products out there that just say they're using agents just to build hype. But I think when implemented correctly, agents can be super useful, especially for us. We're trying to be a business development co-pilot tool. I think agents are really helpful. The way I would define agents are it's basically like AI systems that can take on tasks for you. So instead of just a normal LLM, which is just answering questions, an agent sort of has the autonomy to decide what steps to take. It has access to different tools it can use, and it sort of carries out this process to reach a goal. For example, we use a research agent, which can search the web, pull out useful information, and then organize it so that lawyers get actual leads instead of just raw data. So I think as in that co-pilot capacity, having these agents that are able to take multiple steps for the lawyer that save manual research and extracting information, etc., agents are extremely useful in that case.
Just to be clear, because I know that sometimes when lawyers hear the term agents, they just think, just like they did, by the way, initially with ChatGPT coming out, they think it's just a magic easy button that they press, and then magically overnight, they're going to have 1,000 leads in their inbox. Does it work that easily, or what's reality?
Ideally, it's that easy for the lawyer. Like they just click buttons and see things happen. Behind the scenes, our agents have access to a number of tools that we've built internally that do anything from researching the web, scraping important information, ranking this information in certain ways, and then there's also a matching tool for our algorithm that scores these leads for individual lawyers. But yeah, for the lawyer, all they have to do is just onboard their information, and they just give our agent time to do what it does, and they are presented with the leads.
Yeah, but we also limit the leads. So we say we triage it in a way that we only surface the most relevant leads based off their background and based off the triggers that we're finding in the market. So there's definitely some sort of triaging happening, and we're not displaying 1,000 leads.
So one part, just to expand on a little bit, is that you said on the onboarding, there's information that the lawyers provide. And I would imagine, and then, you correct me or expand on it, that it's some kind of interview where they answer questions about like what kind of practice areas they focus in, how large their firm is, maybe something about their capacity for taking on additional business. How do you customize it for the lawyers that would use it?
So what we're asking is mainly, practice area, but also specialty area, because we also spoke with partners who said, well, my practice area is this, but my actual expertise is even more in depth. So we're trying to really get to that. And then for preferred client types, we ask questions like the size of the companies they're searching for, the preferred, title, stuff like that. And then we also ask for preferred outreach messages. So we spoke with a couple of lawyers who love going to events. Some hate it. Some don't even know why they're there. And they find it a waste of time. They're really frustrated about it. Then some others are doing email, some others are doing LinkedIn. So we're trying to individualize it in that way already. Oh, we're also asking for like sources that they use in order to stay tuned and stay like informed currently. So we're taking that into account. And then over time, it's also learning. And I think Avi can say something to that as well.
As far as the learning, we keep track of all interactions that the lawyer has on our platform. We are constantly trying to get feedback for like different steps that they take on the way to try and acquire a new client. First of all, with the leads that we offer, they have the option to reject them. So if they reject the lead, then we are able to, gain more information on the type of leads that they don't want to see or that they do want to see. The same thing goes along with the outreach strategies. So any messaging that our platform produces, if they don't like it, if they edit it, we keep track of that. And then successful conversions, of course, we also track that so that we can provide, first of all, the most optimized leads, and then the most optimal way to reach out to these leads and convert them.
Well, it's really fantastic, and I appreciate you sharing that with me because I know that, lawyers listen to this, and one thing they think of initially is, well, I'm different, right? Like my practice is different. I have this unique focus. I don't know if this tool can work for me because maybe it's cookie cutter or what have you. So like you explaining that and, addressing how you can make it tailored for a specific lawyer in their firm is really helpful for them to feel, more at ease to use it. Another natural question that comes up, which I'm sure you've been asked many times, is lawyers always ask about privacy, security, confidentiality. In a way, in a weird way, this is kind of preceding any relationship. So like there might be like less of a concern, but I know lawyers would still ask about it. So how do you address privacy and security concerns?
Avi, I'll let you answer that because you've been working on this.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time making sure that our entire system is locked down. We use a Postgres database to house all of our data. Everything is locked down with row level security. Each lawyer only has access to their own data, and they have to be authenticated to have access to it. All the sources, leads, communication, anything related to a certain outreach strategy or something is all within that lawyer's bucket, I guess you could say. So there's no chance of data like bleeding across and other people having access to other people's information.
Absolutely. So every lawyer, every law firm gets their own bucket of information, and neither the twain shall meet with any other lawyer or law firm, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool. By the way, do you find many lawyers that talk to you like asking you that question?
No, because I think it's because we build it in a way that we can kind of avoid that question by saying you don't need any firm data, right? You don't need to integrate it to the firm's CRM. You can, but you don't have to. You don't have to provide us with your actual clients, right? You can provide us with the types of clients you have, but you don't have to actually tell us anything about those confidential data. So far, we haven't had that question a lot.
It sounds like you do the onboarding. It could help you to identify leads that are a good fit, and then there's that learning process where you learn better what leads to fit to that particular customer. Also, the types of outreach that are comfortable for that lawyer or law firm. How far down the funnel do you do it? Is it even to the point of actual engagement, like sending out contracts, helping, facilitating signing, that kind of thing?
So we're not doing that yet, but I think it would be something interesting in the future to say, once you convert a client, like once you click that button, you get actually forwarded to creating an engagement letter automatically, right? Like you could integrate it with document automation tools, and then it could be fed right into your CRM. But currently, we are not doing that yet. We're solely focusing on this end-to-end client acquisition, really making cold relationships warm, I guess, in a sense.
Well, I'm sure it's one of those on the list of things to do, right?
Definitely. Yeah, we had a firm actually 2 days ago that was saying that oh yeah, it would be cool, to have that engagement letter automatically afterwards, or even a proposal or something. So that's definitely further down the line on the roadmap.
So what for the two of you has been the greatest challenge and actually the biggest victory that you've experienced so far?
Maybe as a solo developer, there's all sorts of things like I have to worry about, I guess, in other projects that I've done or internships and stuff that I've done. It's been sort of more focused. Like even if it's a full stack project, I would be working on specific things. But for this, I've been, having to do the front end, the back end, the database, worrying about security, integrations, all this stuff. So it was a challenge sort of like, designing the architecture and like wrapping my head around all the, moving parts that I had to bring together to deploy this application. So that was the biggest initial challenge, I would say. As far as the biggest success, we have pretty frequent customer feedback calls with our initial users, and it's been really nice to hear from some of our customers saying like, "This is a great tool. I really enjoy the premise. It's saving me time." And that it's actually a useful tool. So that's always really validating to hear. And I think that's been the biggest success so far.
I would double down on that one. And for the challenge, I would say really prioritizing the tasks that are on the daily calendar, and I guess winning customers in August when everyone's on vacation. But yeah, as in success, I would totally agree with Avi. It's great to hear from people that they like it. It's great to hear that people are really honest with us. Like they say, this is great. This is something I would hope for, and they give us the chance to actually build it for them, which is cool.
Yeah, and that's absolutely key is to have, a trusting relationship with the customer where they can give you honest feedback because honestly, that's the only way you can improve is to get that so that you can improve and also know where their head's at and it improves it for them as well. So it's a win-win.
Mm-hmm.
I was really looking forward to speaking with you both, and I've talked to some companies where they've been out there for a while, and especially with what you're doing and with the interest in agents, I thought exploring your company and that's new to the market and kind of pursuing a new angle with agents that people haven't experienced as much would be great to talk about. But I do want to turn to the last couple of questions that I ask of all my guests. There's so many things that you have to do, especially as founders. How do you keep it balanced? Like, is there such a thing as a work-life balance? Like, how do you do it? Let's start with you, Laura.
What I usually do is I go for walks and I go twice a week, twice a day. Sorry. So I live like 10 minutes from Central Park. So I'm walking there every day. I really enjoy that walk, that particular one. What I also do, which might sound a little funny, but whenever we win a new customer, I would get myself a matcha. I don't actually think Avi knows that, but I do. And I think, from time to time on the weekend, spend time with friends. That really helps.
That's great. How about you, Avinash?
So I try to stay organized with my development by, setting up these like 2 week sprints of things that I really want to accomplish. And I've been pretty consistent about getting my work done within those sprints. As far as like the work-life balance, I'm like kind of constantly thinking about development even when I'm like not developing. But I kind of like, force myself to go to the gym and do other things. But even at the gym, I'm like on my Trello board looking at what's next, what I need to finish and stuff like that. But yeah, I think I force myself to, go to the gym, spend time with family and just, take a break when I need it because it's not healthy to just keep coding and not taking a break.
Another thing I would probably add is definitely have like blocks in my calendar to kind of get tasks done. That helps. And then we have a daily where we really keep each other up to date. And I think that gives me a lot of structure too.
Well, the last question is related, and that's just for you at the end of the day after doing all of this, like what makes it worthwhile for you? And Avinash, let's start with you first.
So I think I said in my background something that's always interested me was, building things that people need, like that solves real world problems. And I think at the end of the day, we are solving a very real issue that lawyers face with business development, and it's it's really nice to, like I said, hear from the customers that we're actually addressing the problems that they're facing. And the fact that I'm building something that is a solution that addresses a challenge so many people faces is really rewarding.
Yeah, I totally agree. Also, having been in law school, I have a lot of friends who are lawyers, and it's just cool to build something basically for them, right? That helps them do their work and be successful. And it's cool to do that.
Well, that's great. I really wish you both the best of luck with MagNet agents. It sounds like a fantastic idea and a real tool that people can benefit from and get lawyers more business, which is always welcome. For
Thank you.
people that are listening, lawyers out there that want to learn more about MagNet agents and how they can make use of it, how can they keep in touch and learn more?
On our website, they can always book a demo. They can obviously always reach out to us directly as well on LinkedIn, or we have an email address, contact@magnetlegal.co, where anyone can contact us.
All right. So the URL is magnetlegal.co.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you both so much for being on the show.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much
having
for
us.
having us.
And for all of you, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching the latest episode of the LawDroid Manifesto podcast. To keep in the loop about upcoming episodes, please subscribe to LawDroid Manifesto and you'll get notified. Thanks for watching. See you next time.